Welcome, Stan. Stan has been in BMI for 2 years now. And last time we spoke was 1 year ago when his agency was doing around $30,000 per month, right? So at that point, you had been in business for a year. Is that right, Stan?
Correct.
So in total for about 2 years now. So yeah. So what's been going on? So last year, 30K, we did an interview like this. Everyone's happy. Fantastic. But what's been going on now?
So last month we reached 80K in revenue, and we grew 3 times in the last 4 months.
3 times more in the monthly revenue. So you were doing, I think you were doing 30 to 50, no? Or am I wrong here?
We were doing like 30K 4 monmonths ago, and currently we're doing 80.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went from 30 to 80. Okay, interesting. And what is your profit margin in that?
45%.
45%. Okay, interesting. And how did you build this agency? Like, how did this happen exactly?
So in the first place, we just started by our own. We started on like working on Upwork. I'm a software engineer in the first place, and I was constantly looking for like some tips to like send proposals to make a description to my profile and everything. I eventually found the Mastermind, the BMI. In the first place, I was like silent in the group, just getting value like from the videos, from the content that was outside, and it actually already helped us to grow to 10K months, just with pretty much like based on that and with the experience we had as a software engineers. Then finally we joined.
Wait, so you got to 10K per month just by being around us? We weren't even coaching you yet? That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, correct.
I didn't even know that. I mean, you must have told me last year, but I don't even remember. That's crazy. But anyway, but I remember when you applied to BMI for the first time. Can I tell people how much you were making back then?
Sure.
I remember from your, is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
Because this is years ago. Okay, this is more than 2 years ago. So Stan was making, I mean, he is from Belarus, okay, so don't judge him, but he was making under $1,000 a month. He's also very young. How old are you, Stan?
22.
That's a little bit younger than I thought even. I thought you were like 24. Well, it's pretty crazy, dude, actually, if you think about that. And how old is your business partner?
25.
That's so fucking young, man. I wasn't doing this when I was not doing that. I was kind of broke back then. So you were doing better than me at 20, even at 20. But anyway, so now you're at 80K. And do you think it's consistent? Do you think it's gonna stick that way, or is it just a coincidence last month, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's going to stay this way. We're pretty stable in terms of the growth, and if we have some revenue inside the company, it usually stays for at least several months, since we're always like closing the project, and they're like not small. They're starting like from $15,000 and everything. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to at least stay at the same numbers.
And I think this year, one of the new things you're doing, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is closing contracts that are not just project based, where you deliver the project, but where you do hourly selling the hours of your developers. Is that right?
Yeah, that's something that we've started doing somewhere around this year, actually, the start of the year. We used to only sell projects like from scratch, like the full packages and the whole thing. Currently, we also added staffing services inside the company. So essentially, we're just providing developers, to work directly with our customers, augment existing like development teams. And this usually works better for the companies that already have development processes inside and like certain development teams, and they just need to add like some help and like some speed in that development process.
Interesting. And what are some things you've learned and implemented over the past 1 year, which has allowed you to grow? Because I mean, there's a little bit of timing going on and the whole COVID thing. Those are factors. Sure. But I'm quite convinced that it's not just that. I'm quite convinced you actually learned stuff and implemented in your business that has allowed you to grow so much. So what do you think those things may be?
Sure. I think lead generation provided like from the Mastermind from BMI actually saved us during the COVID. Just pretty much the setup of the whole Upwork funnel. We're not tied up to any kind of niche. However, just because we were still like lead generating and it was effective, we were able to get like several projects related to COVID. So like these are like symptom trackers applications, telemedicine apps, and they actually helped us to survive during this period. Obviously, like the sales skills and everything, I'm still learning in terms of the exact implementations of different stuff. I'm learning from the instructors in BMI, like how to sell an Upwork and everything. The other reason for our growth was the actual automation of the processes and the whole like setup, which I also got from the instructors in the Mastermind. That's like the essential part of the growth if you would like to move like from 6 to 7 figures, like automate the whole thing. And the other thing is the automation of sales on Upwork. So I'm not currently doing sales on Upwork by myself. We have a set salesperson. And pretty much we are using the BMI sales process that was provided in the first place, like 7 steps. And in terms of the setting up of the sales team, this information was also provided inside the course and from the instructors in BMI.
What about operations? What have you changed in your business, if anything, over the last year?
Mainly it was automation of the processes and improvement of the processes. In terms of the operations, we just currently we're just in the place where we are creating a clear and full outline of which process inside the business in order to delegate it to other people so we can free some of our time and to kind of use it more effectively in terms of the growth, improvement of the processes.
And what have you learned from tech agency owners in BMI who are doing above $100,000 a month? What have you learned from them?
Yeah, so I got a lot of value from tech agency owner from Canada. I was joining like most of the calls and constantly asking questions, and it was pretty interesting because his revenue numbers were kind of like near ours, but he was always like more and up like for a certain amount, like 20, 30, 40,000. So that actually meant that he just went for the things that we need to go through in order to grow. And it was like it was like a very, very like relevant experience for us. After his calls, I was like always inspired, and I also got something that I can implement in the business right away. And pretty much in terms of our processes, we build them as well based on the discussions that I had with him during this whole time.
And which other instructors have you learned from, if anyone?
There were definitely like several sales instructors I was learning from in terms of like sales skills, just basic like sales process, framing, different kind of things pretty much. But it's interesting since based on the value that I was getting from the group, like from the sales process and everything, I teach the sales guy that we have. And I think after like 2 months, he was not like doing sales calls at all like before. And after like 2 months, he was closing like 20K projects.
Wow. That's
based
amazing,
on the sales
dude.
process.
That's difficult. You know, that's difficult to teach these guys to do that. It's amazing. I'm very impressed. I didn't know that.
And he's also like not a native speaker, so it's pretty interesting as well.
So you're a bunch of guys, 22 to 25 in Belarus and White Russia, and you're just closing native, like as if you're native speakers, $20,000 projects. Okay, with a 45% profit margin. That's impressive. Okay, that is legit fucking impressive. I have to say that is so impressive.
There were also definitely calls about the automation of the processes and just using different tools that you like have available currently, Zapier, like payment integration with Stripe and everything, just to remove the manual processes from the business and also increase the value of the time of people that you're working with. Okay,
and what were your big issues the last 12 months? Like, what were some very serious issues? And how did you resolve them, perhaps? Yeah.
Sure. I was definitely frustrated that we were not growing like for 7 months straight. We were like at 30,000 all this time, and we would try like different things, checking out different stuff to try to figure out like why are we not growing. And eventually it was about the automation and about the improvement of the processes. And it was never like a one-time tweak that you can actually do and grow. It's always like the constant process. So That's, I think, the thing that I was struggling with the most. And assistance from the instructors helped a lot as well, because they were just telling me that you need to do like this thing and this and this thing. And I'm the kind of person that I'm not following sudden like routine work or something if I don't know that this thing is actually going to work. And based on the experience of these people and based on the fact that they are running like the same businesses and they're telling me this thing, I was just implementing, believing in it that it would actually work. And finally, yeah, pretty much worked for us.
And I know you've tried like online courses and stuff like that, especially in last year, you were kind of stuck with growth. So how does BMI, because I'm sure anyone watching this, they're also, always looking at stuff. So how does BMI compare? What is the big picture here in terms of the results? BMI results versus online courses or masterminds. What is your experience so far?
Yeah, I think like BMI as a mastermind is a very like effective way to grow like for people, especially like if you're starting from scratch. That's like definitely a go-to. I even like see many business owners at this stage that are like running the businesses for 20 years or something, that we're figuring out like the whole thing, and they're smaller than us at this stage. They're still doing like lots of manual work. They
Yeah.
don't understand that they should automate, that they should work on the processes and everything. There is an enormous value that this kind of like that BMI pretty much provides to the members. And obviously, there were lots of cases where people just were joining with existing businesses, and pretty much just by following the paradigm, following the process of working on the business, improving the processes, understanding the whole thing, understanding the value that the group is providing, they were able to grow. Like I think this like agency owner, he grew like 6 or 7 times from the time that he joined. So yeah.
Yeah, there are lots of those. And what about the comparison? So the compared to courses or like video courses or like traditional masterminds,
Sure.
have you gotten more results from BMI compared to those, or the same or less, or how did it go?
Yeah, there were definitely more results from BMI. I think that the main thing is the process that is provided in BMI and the structure of how the whole thing works in terms of instructors and calls. You can really speak with people who are running like the same agencies currently, and like not just telling you stuff that they think they work, and an option to ask questions and everything. That's definitely on a very high level comparing to all the other courses, and especially like with video courses and everything. When you don't have any kind of feedback, you can't improve. Yeah, that's what BMI pretty much provides.
We're definitely not a course, I'll tell you that, in case anyone's wondering. So we're not, the BMI is not a fucking course. we're a hardcore mentorship community. So as Stan says, you get mentored by business owners that are ahead of you, but not too far ahead, because otherwise it's confusing. Like, what is this guy even saying? But anyway, so congrats on your 80K month. I hope it also stays consistent like that your last few months, like 50 to 80, and then finally you have the 80K month. It's always impressive. Yeah, I do agree with you what you previously said, that when people in BMI, when they reach these sort of milestones, that it tends to stay fairly consistent. So people have asked me, oh, don't you just interview people when they have their best month? Well, yes, but then I interview them again and again and again, and they're growing. Like, people tend not to stagnate or go below for too long. And you kind of did stagnate for 7 months, but there you go. A year later, you are doing better already. And it's like recession, pandemic, whatever it is right now, right? So I think it's very impressive. I think people should take note here. And what are some other lessons perhaps that you've learned in general about business over the last year that you would like to share? Because a whole year, a whole new milestone, maybe there's some new lessons that you'd like to share just with fellow students out there of business.
Yeah, I would probably repeat myself, like when you're growing like from 30K like a month to 7 figures, that's definitely about like automation and removing yourself from the processes. And obviously, when you start as a business, you need something that works already. You just need the process that you can implement. And I think that's where like we might provide like enormous amount of value.
All right. Well, awesome. I know you have a call right now, so we're gonna get out, finish the video, and perhaps we'll revisit when you're at like 250K or something. What is the
All right,
goal now? Like,
sure.
is it because I don't remember your long-term goal. I think it was like 8-figure business, right?
Yeah, like I'm thinking about like selling the whole thing and then pretty much creating my own like app company where we just have like our own product, because this whole thing is pretty much easier to scale. And
Okay.
then like if we will be able to sell that like nicely with nice like multiplier and everything, I was also always thinking like about some kind of like venture company where we can just invest money into the startups and yeah, pretty much do things from that point of view. At this stage, like we're obviously like still growing and everything. I'm thinking about the multipliers that our kind of business can have, especially with the situation inside inside the country right now. We have like protests in Belarus and all these kind of things. But yeah, I think at this stage, we just need to grow and think about that a bit later.
Man, I think you're gonna make it really far. Okay, I think you're gonna crush it. Because you're doing it also kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like it's not like you have access to all this capital and all this stuff, because you're not like in San Francisco. That's where usually companies like this hang out, right? So I think it's very impressive what you've done. Keep growing. I'm very excited about this as well. And yes, see you on the calls. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.